The secret to staying healthy after 60. When Richard turned 65, he sat on his porch in Ohio with a cup of warm tea in his hands, watching the sunrise spread across the sky in shades of orange and pink. He had every reason to feel proud. He had spent decades as a dedicated schoolteacher, he had built a modest home with his late wife, and his children had grown into adults with families of their own. Yet as he looked down at his trembling hands, he felt a ripple of unease. His father had died of a heart attack at 68, his mother had suffered with diabetes and eventually dementia, and Richard could not help but wonder if he was destined to follow the same path. That morning, as the birds began their morning chorus, he made a quiet promise to himself. He would not let fear dictate the last chapter of his life. He wanted not just more years but better years. The first step of his journey began with movement. His doctor had told him, "Move, Richard, don't let your body rust." At first, the suggestion almost made him laugh. He was no longer a young man. His knees stiffened whenever he climbed stairs, and the thought of lifting weights seemed absurd. But everything changed one afternoon when his granddaughter Emily asked him an innocent question. "Grandpa, can you play tag with me?" He hesitated, ashamed at the truth that he was too tired, too stiff, too afraid to run after her. That night, the image of Emily's hopeful eyes stayed with him, and he realized he didn't want to be the kind of grandfather who only watched life from a chair. He wanted to join in. The next morning he put on his old sneakers and walked around the block. The air felt crisp against his face, but after 10 minutes he was out of breath. Still, he returned the next day and the day after. Step by step, his endurance grew. Within weeks, his morning walk stretched to 2 miles. Later, he gathered the courage to join a senior yoga class, where he discovered not only flexibility, but also a circle of friends who shared his determination to live fully. Each movement, each stretch, each deep breath became a declaration that his body still had life to give. His blood pressure lowered, his joints felt lighter, and he carried himself with a renewed energy that reminded him of his younger days. With his body in motion, Richard turned his attention to food. For most of his life, he had chosen convenience over nutrition: fast food, sugary drinks, late-night snacks. One evening, he found himself staring at a half-eaten burger and fries, and a thought struck him. This was not fuel, this was poison disguised as comfort. His doctor's words echoed in his mind. "What you eat is either healing you or harming you." That night, he decided to choose healing. It wasn't easy at first. A cheeseburger had always been more tempting than a salad. But when he began experimenting with grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, and fresh fruit, he noticed something remarkable. After heavy, greasy meals, he felt sluggish and tired, but after lighter meals filled with color and freshness, he felt energized and clear-headed. Gradually, he replaced soda with water, fried foods with whole grains and fish, desserts with fruit and yogurt. His weight dropped slowly, his sugar cravings diminished, and he felt his body thanking him with every healthy choice. Food was no longer just about pleasure, it was about giving himself the gift of more years with the people he loved. But Richard knew that health was not only about the body. His mother's long struggle with dementia had left him with deep fears about losing his own mind. Determined to protect it, he sought out ways to keep it sharp. He started with crossword puzzles at the kitchen table, then graduated to history books and strategy games. He even downloaded a language learning app and began stumbling through Spanish, laughing at his mispronunciations but proud of every new word. The greatest discovery, however, came when he joined a local storytelling group. Every week, he and other seniors gathered to share memories, tales from their childhoods, and lessons from their lives. The act of recalling details, speaking them aloud, and listening to others not only sharpened his memory but also filled him with joy. He realized the mind thrived on challenge and connection, and that loneliness, more than age itself, was the real enemy. By surrounding himself with friends and stories, Richard was safeguarding both his memory and his heart. Sleep, too, became a newfound priority. In his younger years, Richard had bragged about functioning on little rest, as if exhaustion were a badge of honor. But now he saw sleep as a gift he had long neglected. He began a new routine, shutting off the television an hour before bed, brewing chamomile tea, and reading until his eyelids grew heavy. He made his bedroom a sanctuary, cool and quiet, free of clutter and noise. Within weeks, the changes were undeniable. He woke up refreshed, his thoughts clearer, his mood calmer. He discovered that true rest was not wasted time but essential repair, a nightly chance for his body and mind to rebuild themselves. The most profound lesson, however, came not from science but from spirit. Richard found that gratitude, faith, and a sense of purpose were as vital as diet and exercise. Each morning he began writing down 3 things he was thankful for. Sometimes it was as simple as the warmth of sunlight on his porch or a phone call from Emily. Other times it was more profound: gratitude for his ability to walk, to breathe, to laugh. Slowly his heart grew lighter, more resilient. He also began volunteering at a local community center, teaching children how to read. The joy in their eyes when they discovered new words filled him with energy no medicine could ever provide. Giving back gave his days meaning, and meaning, he realized, was the strongest medicine of all. 5 years passed and Richard turned 70. His hair was grayer, his wrinkles deeper, but his spirit brighter than ever. When Emily, now a teenager, asked him to join her for a hike, he smiled and laced up his shoes. Together they climbed the hill, step by steady step, until they reached the top. Standing there, breathing in the crisp air, Richard felt the strength of his body, the clarity of his mind, and the peace in his heart. He was living proof that aging did not have to mean decline. It could mean choice. He had chosen to walk instead of sit, to nourish instead of indulge, to challenge his mind instead of letting it fade, to rest instead of grind, and to give instead of withdraw. Looking back, he often told his friends, "We cannot stop the years from passing, but we can choose how we live them." His story was no longer one of fear, but of hope. Not a warning about the diseases of old age, but a testimony to the power of prevention. He had discovered that the secret to staying healthy after 60 was not in fighting against time, but in embracing life fully, with movement, with nourishment, with rest, with connection, and above all, with love. And so his golden years became not just years to survive, but years to truly live.